We should be live, Rob. The question is, are we live? Because YouTube doesn't always seem to make us live, does it?
Let's manually check, shall we?
Do a manual check. While you're doing that, we've got people watching, so we must be live.
We must be live.
We
Marvellous.
must be live. And the good news is, as hopefully people can hear, I've actually made an effort this time, production-wise, and not so much with the camera. The camera is funny enough. The camera is an OBS bot, which is sitting on top of my studio display. I always forget to look at it. I probably will throughout the entire podcast, but who cares? So that's okay. That'll do the job. But yeah, I've got the proper mic has been set up properly, and it's a bit noisy on this table. Apologies for that, but it's at least you can hear me properly. We're not. Was it the studio display speakers I was using last time? I think
there was either that or the AirPods. It was horrific. Anyway,
it was a horrendous.
Sorry about that. If you tuned in last week.
Yeah, apologies to everyone involved. Not great, but yeah, I've done it. This is a permanent setup now, so it's all good.
Yeah, hang on. Louise is saying that she had to go into the live tab.
Didn't work in the video.
Oh.
Well, with somewhat 5 people are watching, so that's the main thing.
Yeah, someone's found us. That's good.
That's what matters.
I'm paranoid. I'm just going to manually check. I'm going to visit the thing. Yeah, no, it's saying live.
Yeah, I think we're good. Another reminder, actually, guys, that we if you listen to this podcast, we are on YouTube, and we do it live. We do it as a live stream now, which is normally Thursday mornings, UK time, 10 a.m., which we seem to be sticking to at the moment every 2 weeks. We'll see how long that lasts, but yeah, come and join us if you can, and hit that subscribe button. Chris Rockwell is in the house. I know Chris very well on the press circuit. Hello, Chris. Right, how are you feeling, Rob? Are you all okay and not ill? And
yeah, no, I'm good. Wow, I'm very tired. So Mrs. Rob is working in London for 2 weeks. So I'm on day 4 of that 2 weeks.
Oh dear.
So yeah, she's in court on the prosecuting side, I might add.
Clear that up. Really. What's she done?
So, have I ever told you what she does?
You've told me, I think, behind the scenes, but if you want to make it public, go for it. Not this. So, that makes it sound even worse, doesn't it? It's nothing suspicious.
No. So she works for the Rev HMRC, but before you all start groaning, she's a good tax person. So she goes after the big corporations and takes them to court and makes sure they pay their tax. So yeah, if you see a big HMRC windfall in the press. I think the most recent one was Lloyd's were asked to cough up £800 million because they did some, entirely legal but frowned upon things. Or the trouble with tax is it's very open to interpretation, and so Mrs. Rob's job is to try and lock down those interpretations and get court cases that set precedents so that other people can't then use those loopholes, if that makes sense. So yeah, so she's on our side. But in any case, she's in court. She's in London for 2 weeks, which means that I'm full-time daddy, and I'm 4 days in, and starting to feel like conscription might not be such a bad thing after all.
Well, you're not dead yet. You haven't died yet, so you're doing pretty well in that respect.
Well, and you were also not dead, because you could very easily have pulled a Freddie Flintoff yesterday.
There's your show title, if we dare use that. I'll leave that to Niall to decide. There's only one. Why is the camera just zoomed in? What? Oh no. HubSpot has this thing. It has this is why you should watch this. There we go. Look, you have to do these gestures. How do I get it back to where it was? That's ridiculous. Let me turn off hand tracking. Even like a proper setup, it has to go right. In fact, that's a much better framing. Ironically, let me just. How do I turn off hand? It's got hand tracking basically. So if I do anything with my hands, it's going to start doing stuff. Let's assume that's okay. What was I about to say? There's only one thing I want to talk about today. I've got no interest in tech. I've got no interest in anything, actually, apart from what happened yesterday. And I should caveat this by saying, unfortunately, I think well, I know that I'm pretty sure you'll understand what I'm about to say, but some people won't. I think non-petrol heads and people who haven't spent 20 years watching three British blokes just mess around basically with cars probably won't get it. But I had a massive out-of-body experience yesterday. Really, and one of the most surreal things I've ever done. Also, I think one of the most incredible things I've ever done for this business. I get to do some really cool stuff. You know, if anyone who follows me on Instagram, it's all a bit. It all happens very quickly and comes and goes, but it's and it's sometimes hard to experience and fully be in the moment because you so concentrate on creating content and stuff. But yesterday, I decided to put that part of that to one side and then just experience it. And to cut long story short, basically, we there was a press event via a company called Carly. I should definitely mention them because they did this yesterday. They are basically they have an app which helps you save money on your car maintenance. That's kind of not their official strap line, but it basically, it includes an OBD reader which you can connect to your car. You can read the faults on the car. You can basically suss out what's going on wrong with it before something goes horribly wrong and you get a big bill. Quite cool.
How does it do that? Because you can't fix anything on modern cars anymore. They're all computers.
No, you can't. I mean, they did say that. I mean, with older cars, that there are maintenance. There's stuff built into it. There's a community built into it, so you can, if you don't want to end up on piston heads with a 38,000 page thread about how to fix your sunroof,
how to clean your Vanos.
They are building stuff into it, which kind of, in theory, can help you if you want to get your hands dirty, fix things. But the idea really is that you can be a bit more informed and not be ripped off by, dealerships and stuff like that. But anyway, there'll be more about Carly on the website. We're writing a piece about it. But more importantly, part of the press day was heading to Dunsfold, which, if people aren't aware, is the old Top Gear test track. And I think most people are aware of Top Gear, aren't they? It's massive worldwide success. You know, it was rebranded in 2002, I think, when they kind of they changed the format and they went to this to Dunsfold as the main place for the filming. The great big air hangar where they filmed the set, and that was attached to a racetrack, which was, I think, it's got connotations with aircraft and the Air Force, I think, and there's all sorts of stuff going on there. But if you know Top Gear, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And there was a character in Top Gear called the Stig, which was this guy who his identity was never revealed, or it wasn't properly for a long time. He wore a white helmet and all the white overalls and stuff, and a race suit, etc. And he tested all the cars, so he put the cars through their paces. They had lap times for all the cars that they reviewed. He was the guy that set those lap times. He taught all of the stars in the reasonably, that's hard to say, isn't it? Reasonably priced car, how to get around the track. And just a very big part of it, and some very on Discord yesterday we were going through some of the Stig intros, which Clarkson would always, which I'd forgotten how funny they were. Can you just pick out a couple, Rob, just to preface this? There were some
I can't remember them. Well,
I'll have a quick look. People, again, if you watch Top Gear, you know exactly what we're talking about here, and this will make you laugh. Where are they? The Discord server was basically full of these last night. Where is it? One of my favourites was. Where are we? Some say he contains 47% horse.
Oh, yeah.
What was the first one that you had?
Some say that in his wallet he has a photo of his wallet.
Some say that he only knows 2 facts about ducks, and both of them are wrong. All we know is he's called the Stig. So anyway, I'm waffling on now. This is how much. This is kind of. I'm saying all this stuff because I want to try and illustrate how this felt yesterday. And I've watched every episode of Top Gear. I'm a massive petrol head, massive Top Gear geek. Watched it religiously every Sunday night. Carried on watching the Grand Tour, etc., etc. So imagine how I felt yesterday when I arrived at that Top Gear test track. And what happens? You kind of drive up this long road, and you end up. The first thing you see is Gambon, which is is it the second to last corner or the last corner? I can't remember. The one where Michael Gambon did he roll it? I can't remember if he rolled it or he nearly rolled it.
No, he nearly rolled it. He just it was on 2 wheels. No, it's the last corner, isn't it?
So they called it the last corner Gambon. So you arrive there, and in the distance you can see the big hangar that was the Top Gear, where they had the set. Top Gear offices to the left of that, and then you can basically see the track, and it's much bigger in person. It seems much bigger and flatter than it does on TV. And you can roughly see some of the corners as well. Some of the other corners, like the hammerhead and follow through and all that sort of stuff. And so I'm standing there looking at this thing that I've watched on TV for 20 years. And then a bit later, Ben Collins turns up, who was the original and I think the longest serving Stig.
He wasn't the original Stig. The original Stig was Perry McCarthy. He was black helmet,
the black helmet Stig. Yeah, no.
So that was for
about Top Gear. Although he wasn't the longest. So Ben was the longest standing, wasn't he? He was the one who did it for the longest time.
Also, any stunt driving during the Daniel Craig era of James Bond, you would have seen his driving in the James Bond films.
Very good driver, basically. But he turned up, and which was planned, obviously, and he took us around the track, each of us individually, for a couple of laps in a somewhat spec'd up M2, and it was just again. I mean, can you? I guess you can perhaps appreciate how that feels from someone in my position.
Yeah, absolutely. That's incredible. I mean, my closest claim to fame from TV motoring shows is I've met Tiffany Dell.
I met him in a pub once, actually.
Did you?
Yeah, probably not to the same extent as you, but still.
Yeah. Who were the other? Butler Henderson. She was there.
Yeah.
And the Richard Hammond equivalent, the BTCC driver. What was his name?
Oh,
Plato.
Jason Plato.
Yeah.
Yeah. So so many of them, aren't there, that have been involved in it. But yeah, it was just honestly surreal. And he said to us at the start, he said, "Look, I don't want to scare anyone. I'll take you around at any pace you want, basically." And I got in the car with him. He said, "What do you want to do?" I said, "Just send it. Just go for it, please. I've not come here to be poodled around this track. I want to see what happens when you really properly drive." And I also said, if we've got 2 laps, I just want one where I just sit here and experience it and don't get the camera out, don't get my phone out. And the second one, I'll get the phone out and try and capture something if I can. And that's one of the first times I've done that properly in this job. I think just experience the thing that I've kind of very fortunately been put in place to have a go with, to kind of experience. And it was just absolutely amazing. And what a driver. I mean, I'm sure you've been in cars with people have you done sort of track days and stuff where you've been doing hot laps and things? Anyone who's done it will know that when you've sat next to a proper driver, one, it makes you realize that you can't drive at all, but two, it makes you realize how much trust those guys have got to have in tires. This thing had, although it had been tuned, it still had road tires on it. The brakes had been uprated, but they kept overheating and stuff. But how much trust they have to have in in the machine itself, because he wasn't holding back at all. He was absolutely gunning for it. The video that I shot doesn't do it any justice at all. You can't really tell what's going on. You can't tell how quick it was. But again, I don't know if you found this, but when you get someone driving like that, the most amazing thing is the braking. How late they brake, and the fact they absolutely stamp on the pedal. It's not like gradual. It's just like that first corner, he nearly put his foot through into the engine bay. Just amazing, and the grip and stuff. And anyone who's listening to this probably isn't listening to this anymore. Who isn't a petrol is probably bored out of their minds. But I don't care. This is a massive thing for me, and it was just such like I say, an out of body experience. Incredible.
So, is it a new M2? Was it a prototype?
Yeah, weirdest thing happened. Yeah, so it was the current M2, the new one, but it was like a what do they call it? Like an experimental car. So I don't know who owned it. I don't know if it's actually directly from BMW. It wasn't his. He'd driven it a few times before, but it came from somewhere else. The weirdest thing happened. I was on the way home. I was leaving a voice note for someone. I needed to let someone know about it. What had just happened. I was talking to this guy about it on WhatsApp, and as I was talking to him, that M2 came past me on the M25. So whoever was driving this thing back on the M25 past me, was like, "I've just been in that car with the Stig." What a weird day. But yeah, it was amazing experience.
So, have you got a hankering to get another M2 now?
I don't want one of the new ones. I want the one that I had before.
Oh, you want that back?
I want it back, mate, yeah. I do miss that car massively. One day I think I will. I think I'll get one. I might even get one that needs a bit of work and have it as a little project thing.
Plug your MyCarly into it.
Plug my MyCarly into it, get all the fault codes out.
Have they given you one to play with?
They have. I almost don't want to plug it into my car because I don't want to know how many fault codes there are in there. Interesting. One of the guys who was there, one of the guys who works for MyCarly, he'd hired for some reason I think a 24 plate. It was a 3 Series, BMW 3 Series, and he said just out of interest, he plugged in the MyCarly thing, and it had 78 fault codes, and it had done like 5,000 miles or something. Obviously not
That's
pretty
pretty good, isn't it?
I don't know. Is it? It sounds like a lot of fault codes. But yeah, so yeah, quite a day. But that's me. I was going to talk about Top Gear for the entire thing today, but that's not fair. We won't do that. I just wanted to get that off my chest.
Cool.
Lots of people watching. Well, lots of people tuned in. Appreciate this. Just seeing who we got in the house. Fantastical Mr. Fox. Joris says the Stig was Michael Schumacher. Now they did that thing, didn't they, where they pretended it was him. The Stig came out and sat on the sofa and took off the helmet, and it was Michael Schumacher, but it wasn't actually Michael Schumacher who was the Stig. They were having a bit of a laugh. Any tech worth talking about?
Well, I wanted to catch up with you on all the stuff you've been playing with lately. So you are apparently a big fan of the 16E.
I don't know if I'm a big fan of it. I'm trying to define what I am about this phone. So here it is. And just to confirm, I am using it. People don't believe that I've switched to it, but my 16 Pro Max is in the drawer. It's dead. It's turned off. I have no interest in putting my SIM card back in it at all. And we do have SIM cards still in the UK. That's something else that people seem to struggle with on YouTube. We do actually have SIM cards, which is why I keep saying SIM card. As in physical.
So why is that? Is that partly because you're sort of for work, for long-term review purposes, or just that it's fine and you're not compelled to?
Absolutely fine. Yeah, it features on the second channel on the Tech Diary today or tomorrow, I think, as a kind of follow-up review. Whether or not we'll feature on the main channel, I don't know, but maybe not. So in answer to your question, it's not really for long-term stuff. I just can't be bothered, and I think just the one-handedness of it, which I'm a bit obsessed with, is just that being able to just use it without using my other hand and worrying about dropping it, and it's fine. I still think it looks really. I think it's one of the best looking iPhones. I think personally. Do you agree, or am I mad?
It just looks like a phone. They all look the same now.
Can't get excited, can you?
I mean, how's the battery life? I think that's probably the best thing about it, isn't it?
Really good. Yeah. So every day it finishes at about 55%, I think. And it's getting used a lot. I'm still using it for content stuff occasionally, but it's my main phone, so it's. I don't think that the Pro Max was doing that well. I can't remember what.
Since the recent iOS 18, even with Apple Intelligence turned off, my Pro Max, which would previously get me into the morning of the third day, or and reliably get me through 2 days. I'm not even getting through one now. I mean, I mean, in fairness, obviously it's 18 months old now, so I imagine the battery has had quite a few cycles. Let me just check the health. Yeah, I mean, it's down to 88%, which is a bit grim, isn't it? 354 charge cycles it's had, so that's disappointing. But I mean, following my experience with the 16 Pro Max, which I found entirely underwhelming, and the whole focus for that device was it's Apple Intelligence ready, which the 15 Pro Max is as well, and the stupid button that no one likes. And my M4 iPad Pro experience, that's just a very nice iPad, but it doesn't. It's functionally identical to a base iPad. Really, it's just a really nice one. Yeah, I'm curious about the E line. Could I live with it? I mean, I would certainly. Well, one would hope that next year we get, you know, a higher refresh rate display. I think that would be nice, 120 hertz. So that when you switch to a device that's 60 hertz, because my work phone is a 60 hertz display phone, and if I want to, you know, you can dial down the refresh rate on a Galaxy Ultra or whatever to eke out some battery life, and it's jarring for a bit, but then like the next day you've forgotten about it completely, isn't it? So I think I could live with it. Not that I think that the next one would have a lower refresh rate. What is it on the 16? Is it 90 or something? It's
No,
a
it's
weird
60.
one.
They're all
It is
60,
60.
aren't they? They don't do anything
Yeah.
above 60.
Yeah. So I don't think that'd be. I think they've got to up that next time. So I don't think that'd be a concern. And even if it were, I think I could live with that. I would definitely miss the 5x telly because I love
You'd
that.
miss. I think you'd put it with everything apart from the camera. I just think, although you have more than one phone, you might then find, like me, that you just take a Samsung phone out with you or something. But I think you would miss the camera. The camera is lackluster. It's fine for normal shots, normal, you know.
No, yeah. So again, I would. I think I could live without it. It'd be horrible for the first few weeks, and then you'd just start zooming with your feet.
Yeah, you probably would. Or actually, from my point of view, another reason I'm still using it is because it's forcing me to use the thousands of pounds worth of camera gear that I actually have. So, for instance, things like the Fujifilm that I bought, I haven't barely used. That I'm starting to use that now. On press trips and things, I'm not relying on my phone as much, which is a better look anyway in terms of turning it with a proper camera than rather just your phone. And you might find that I know you've got some other gear that you could use. It's just an iPhone, and it absolutely nails the job of just being an iPhone brilliantly. And you do forget about the ProMotion thing, to be honest. Although it's jarring to begin with, you just forget it, and it doesn't matter, really.
Yeah. So, but the biggest thing I think I would miss is not the zoom lens, but the image stabilization, because I'm not a proper photographer, and I've become accustomed to the camera fixing everything for me, including my horrific DTs. So, you know, I think that the lens and the sensor are adequate, but my photographic ability is not. So I don't know, maybe that would be a good thing. Again, maybe I would just learn to be a bit more careful about holding the camera steady, because I think a large number of shots that have failed on that device for you will be because you're so used to having hardware, sensor shift, image stabilization.
Possibly, although I've not had any failed shots yet, really. I've not really, no. I even gave my camera, the phone, to someone else yesterday to take a photo of me next to the Stig. I don't know if I mentioned I met the Stig yesterday. And they're all fine. They're all really sharp. She's shot about 1,000 photos. I've not. I mean, even looking at the photo, even looking at the standard zoom lens, it's absolutely fine. The video's been fine as well. I've used a lot of video from this thing for short form stuff, and again, it's done a good job.
It's interesting, your positive spin on it compared to someone like Uncle Spurt, Chris Barraclough. Have you seen his video?
I've not watched it yet, but I'm desperate to watch it. There's no way Chris will ever give a good review of anything Apple related. He can't stand it, and I understand.
It's spectacular. It is. We should get him on. We should fight it out.
Hopefully, I'm hoping I might see him in the next couple of weeks. If I do, I'll mention it to him. But he'd be a great guy. We'd have to put on the not safe for work thing, not what it's called, the not for kids thing. Yeah, I mean, his is. I mean, in fairness, I mean, joking apart, he does show the other side of this phone, which is that it is massively lackluster, and it probably is the worst phone on the market when you compare it against everything else in terms of what, just for value, what you can get for your money elsewhere. But it's not as simple as that. So, for instance, at the weekend, my mum said out of nowhere, she said, "Oh, I need to get a new iPhone." I said, "What have you got at the moment?" And she said, "I've got an iPhone XR."
Oh, crikey.
Exactly. But imagine how many of my mums are out there, and that sounds weird. How many people like my mum are out there? Hopefully I've only got one mum. That's another show title for you now. No. So basically, I tested her and I said, "Okay, when you go into the camera, when you take a photo, what do you do?" And she just said, "I just press the white button." I said, do you ever zoom? I'm not sure what the XR's got in terms of zooming capabilities, or it probably hasn't got a wide angle or anything, has it? But and she said, "No, I just take the photo. And I think if you do that, it's got everything you need. You'll never think about going for the wide angle. I miss quite a lot, but my mum won't think about that. And anyone else who's coming from an XR or an 8 or an earlier, whatever, they just use it as an iPhone. So I think Apple being Apple and being very focused on profitability and satisfying shareholders, they've done the least amount possible to make this the most profitable thing they can. And going back to what you were saying a moment ago, we're not going to see. We're not going to see a 17E next year, are we? With 120 hertz, they'll wait another 4 or 5 years to update this, because why?
Oh, I don't know. I think that's quite. I think it's a deliberate statement moving from the canning the SE brand and making it part of the numbered brand. So I think not only will we see a 17E next year, but the 16E will continue to be available, and it'll be £100 cheaper, and then it'll make a lot more sense. That's what I think.
True.
However, Google have thrown a spanner in the works with the 9A.
Haven't they just?
Have you got one of those on the way?
Not at the moment. I can't say, basically.
All right. Okay. We'll have a discussion about that.
But we can talk about it because it's public knowledge. It's there, isn't it? And the specs are all there. I think most of the specs are there, aren't they?
Yeah, which it just looks like a much better device.
It looks lovely, doesn't it? Better camera. We don't know until we get one, do we, in terms of what it's like. But on the face of it, based on what Google has said publicly, it looks really nice, doesn't it?
Yeah, I'll look forward to you getting one in and seeing what you think of it. Whether that's via Team Pixel or if you have to buy one, we'll find out next time, I guess.
Absolutely.
What else have you been playing with? Oh, the M4 MacBook Air. You're definitely a big fan of that.
Oh, yeah. This is the best laptop you can buy, I think. It's here. Look, I've got it here. Firstly, this is the blue color, which isn't blue at all. I can't even show it. Let's get a close-up of it. What color does that look to you?
It looks silver.
Exactly. It's at 95% of its life, it just looks silver. And occasionally, the light catches it in the right way and it looks a little bit blue. So if you're expecting this to look really blue, you'll be massively disappointed. But that's irrelevant. It's just the best laptop you can buy, I think. If you agree with that.
Yeah. Well, I'm still very happy with my M1 MacBook Air. I would love it to start annoying me so that I can buy something new and shiny, but I can't. That's just it just will not fail to do anything I ask it to do, which is, imagine being annoyed about that.
You can't be, can you? That's the problem. Yeah, I think the M1 MacBook Air is still the best overall thing that Apple has done laptop wise, I think. But I think in terms of if you want to buy a new laptop now, just get a MacBook Air. Even if you're a Windows person, I think you'd be much happier with this if you can go from Windows to Mac OS personally.
That's interesting, because you had a really nice Samsung in recently.
Still got it. Ta-da! Yeah, the Book 5 Pro.
So how was your experience?
Same color, doesn't it? It looks that
it does. Yeah.
Blue either. Really nice. It's great. Yeah, it's there aren't many spec options with this, which is a bit weird. So you can't spec much at all. I think in the US they get another. I think they get the option of 32 gig of RAM, I think, but we don't. We get 16 weirdly, but I'm not sure what that's about. It definitely competes more with the Air than the MacBook Pro. The MacBook Pro is much more upgradable and more impressive, I think. But if you are a Windows person, then there's quite a rich hunting ground at the minute, I think, for Windows laptops. And this is another one that I've used, which, if I was a Windows person and had no interest in macOS whatsoever, I'd probably use it, to be honest.
How's the keyboard layout on Samsung? The thing that's always annoyed me about Samsungs is they always insist on putting a number pad on. But yeah, so that's it. I hate that.
This is the big one. Yeah, this is the 15 or 16 inch, and it's really annoying because the entire keyboard is then shifted.
It's all off center, isn't it? And that I can't deal with that.
Yeah, you're constantly hitting numbers. It's really annoying. I don't think if you go for the big one, I don't think you can spec it without it. I think it has to have that. So I recommend going for the smaller one, which doesn't have the numpad personally.
So did you try PhoneLink?
I did. I tried phone. I always get them mixed up. PhoneLink and the other one. What's the Samsung? Is that the Samsung one? PhoneLink?
No. So PhoneLink is the Microsofty native built-in one. I have no idea what the Samsung alternative might be, but of course there is one because it's Samsung.
Yeah. PhoneLink is the one. Let me remind myself. I should watch my own video because I talk about it in that. They both worked. PhoneLink was the one where I think you can have. Is that where you can share the display, so you can do a bit?
So you can bring up the display. You can remotely use your device like you can do with iOS 18 and Mac OS now as of the most recent release. But yeah, you can go in and look at your photo gallery. You can read and respond to text. You can make phone calls. You can do everything that you can do on your phone, but you can do it from your PC via the PhoneLink app, and it's nice.
It worked. Yeah, I remember. I think the only problem I had with it was the mirroring the S25 Ultra display. For some reason, it was a bit laggy for me compared to iPhone mirroring. It just wasn't quite as fluid. But although it was hit and miss with that. Occasionally it worked fine. Sometimes it didn't. But you don't really have to use that. Like you say, you can access everything within the PhoneLink app itself natively, which is quite nice. So you get access to your messages and, like you say, your photos. You can transfer files backwards and forwards. Yeah, it works.
Was it delivered to you decrapified, or did you get the full, first setup experience?
First setup experience, yeah. Yeah.
How did you find that? The reason I ask is because I fired up my Windows 11 VM the other day to just update it, play with some stuff, and it basically bricked itself after the update. So I fired it up, and I was just using it, and then it was like, you need to update the stuff. But in the sort of 2 minutes that I was able to use the device before it ate itself, it asked me if I'd like to sign up to Xbox Cloud Gaming. It asked me if I'd like to switch my browser to Edge from Chrome. It asked me if I'd like to switch my search to Bing. It asked me if I'd like to upgrade my OneDrive. And there were ads in the start menu.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I had the exact same experience. I don't think, were there ads in the start menu? Possibly. Definitely.
If it's got the most recent update, I think they've, due to massive user backlash, I think they turned that off. But yeah, so this was a couple of major versions, because I've been holding off updating to the latest Windows 11 build because of widely reported issues. So I think not the most recent one, but the one before you had this. But if it was a new machine, it wouldn't have had the personalization data in order to serve you ads. So I think you probably escaped that either way, because either because it hadn't been used, or because you've just got a version of Windows where it wasn't enabled. But yeah, that annoyed me. It's just leave me alone. I just want to get on with my stuff.
I had the same thing with it's all Microsoft, isn't it? It's all the Microsoft stuff they're trying to.
I mean, don't get me wrong, Apple annoy me as well, right? So if I'm paying £12 a month for news, the news subscription, because I do like the Apple curated news, I like the Apple News app, but don't charge me £12 for that content and show me ads as well.
And they even show you ads, sort of ads, don't they? In the settings app for Apple, it's do you want 3 months of whatever, and don't miss out on this, and upgrade your warranty and all this sort of stuff. So
actually, they've noticed that I've been. They must have noticed that I've been using YouTube Music a lot, because they've just offered me 3 months of Apple Music, but which we can get onto. Actually, I do need to ask you about that as well. But the aggressive advertising of Apple's own services within the Apple TV UI really gets on my nerves. Well, I mean, to be fair, almost everything on Apple TV Plus is fantastic. I do. So we're absolutely loving Severance season 2 at the moment.
I need to start watching that.
It's really good, really good. What was the last thing we watched in its entirety? Slow Horses, obviously, that's superb. Dark Matter. There are loads of really good shows on the Apple TV Plus. So I mean, okay, so it will, lead you to stuff that's begrudgingly quite good. But I would just wish you would let me use my television without bugging me about this stuff. So they're all at it, but that was particularly egregious when I fired up my Windows 11 machine, and I was just leave me alone. It was I felt harassed.
Too much. Yeah, I had the exact same experience. Way too much. Not interested in any of that stuff. Just go away. I still don't really like Windows. I still struggle with Windows. It's just not Mac OS. I know that really annoys a lot of people, but again, I don't care.
Well, I'm going to tell you something interesting later then. But I mentioned YouTube Music. So a
Yeah.
few weeks ago, I said that, well, look, I've switched to YouTube Music because it's fine, and what I've been enjoying about it is how it's the recommendations, because it's all linked in with YouTube and Google know everything about my taste. It just seems to surface content that is really good and that I can't get elsewhere. Really interesting live performances, alternate versions, you know, that kind of stuff. Because I mean, it's been reasonably easy to get alternate versions of stuff that you've heard thousands of times before, like the vocal only version of Pet Sounds, for example. You ever heard that?
No.
Unbelievable, right?
Okay.
Superb. But yeah, so that's sort of fairly easily available these days in modern streaming terms. But yeah, YouTube Music just keeps delivering me stuff that I would never have sought out, that I may or may not necessarily have heard otherwise, that just pleases me. And I was going to be paying for that anyway, to remove the ads on YouTube. So if you're going to pay for a music streaming service, you're on the hook for a tenner a month minimum, aren't you? Really? Are you? Unless you get the Amazon Music single device plan, which is about $5, but that's who's using that? That's useless.
It's normally about $9.99 a month, isn't it?
Yeah, so you're on the hook for a tenner plus, and then YouTube Premium is $12.99, gets rid of all the ads, and you get a pretty decent music thing. So yes, tell me about your experience. What do you think about the library? Have you found that it's had everything that you wanted to listen to? How do you find the audio quality, and how do you find the interface, the actual app itself?
I really like it. I like all the aspects of it. It's still early days, really, and I need to spend more time, I think, on just seeing what it throws at recommendation wise. But I think it's very good. Very, very good at putting together radio stations, for instance. I was listening on the way back yesterday. I was listening to a radio station. It just completely nailed it in terms of, there are a few weird things it threw in, which always happens, but better than, I think Apple Music, I've always found, kind of seems to rely on the same songs quite often. You hear the same songs again and again and again, which gets a bit boring. And it does very weird things. I think Apple Music, you have your own station on Apple Music, like the Mark Ellis station. I used to use that quite a lot, and it would put really weird things in there, like Celine Dion out of nowhere that I've no interest in, and Spice Girls, and then play, Metallica. Like, well, no, that doesn't work. This hasn't done.
On the subject of Metallica, sorry to derail the conversation, but we'll get back to this because I've got some really interesting things I want to talk about with YouTube Music. Metallica, have you watched the immersive Metallica concert thingy on the Vision Pro?
Glad you mentioned that. Completely forgot about it. I saw the news about it, and I thought, oh yeah, I need to watch that. I haven't yet, because Vision Pro probably needs charging up and unearthing from whichever cupboard it's been stuffed into. But I will.
So apparently it's very good. No, well, I haven't seen it. I haven't got a Vision Pro, have I? But, I think is this the longest immersive experience? Yeah, it's about half an hour long.
Oh no, how long is it? Half an hour of absolute pain, head, face, and cheek pain.
Well, I suppose, yeah, if you haven't been sort of acclimatizing to VR, I imagine that might be a bit of a shock. But yeah,
we'll check it out. I'll check it. They've got some other stuff coming, haven't they, as well? There's another, I can't think what it is, one of those adventure type things, free climbing things that they've done as well. So, but the Metallica thing, I completely forgotten about that. So thank you for the reminder. I'll watch it before our next podcast. But yeah,
so Jason in the chat is asking if we miss the lossless and/or head-tracked spatial audio that you get with Apple Music. No. So I don't. I hate spatial audio. Okay. I think it messes with them. Just so for those who don't know, and I think you've got a similar background as well, of sort of just amateur music production. I mean, I did music technology at college, so I am a real stickler for. I want to hear it the way it was mixed originally. I kind of find that the spatial audio mixes are I don't like it because I'm old and I can't adapt to change.
The best way I can describe those spatial audio mixes on headphones is that you go from listening to it normally, which sounds fantastic, to suddenly walking into a village fete with the worst PA system in the world stuffed in the corner of the park. That's what it sounds like. It removes all dynamics. Yeah. It's horrible. I don't know why.
Well, I think I previously described it as going to a gig and listening to it from outside the venue.
That's exactly. Yeah, and you move your head around and it ends up somewhere. The worst thing is if you have it on when you go for a run. I did it. I've done this a few times. I've forgotten to turn it off, and if you look to one side to check the traffic or something, obviously it moves around, all the soundstage moves over there, and you turn back round and you're running ahead, and it's like, you've got Axl Rose singing again through a church fete, a garden party PA system. It's just horrible. It's just, sorry, Jason. You probably, if you like it, then each their own, obviously. But I think it's one of the worst way. I mean, for watching movies and TV shows, it's great if you sat on your sofa.
Head track spatial audio for film and TV,
brilliant,
game changer. Love it.
Awful
but yeah, no, for music, I want to hear it how it was mixed, because those people have, I guess, probably because I've got. I mean, not that people who have remixed things for spatial audio aren't also talented, and I'm sure they put a lot of effort into it. It doesn't work for me. I'm sorry, I don't get it. I don't miss the lossless, because I'm almost always listening to things on Bluetooth headphones, and so you lose all of that fidelity anyway.
There are some very talented people working on this, but I would rather put my head through a meat grinder than listen to their work. Sorry. What
so I just wanted to mention two things that it recommended to me recently, because I know you like to watch Justin Hawkins and Rick Beato, so you're kind of into this stuff. So there are two things that YouTube Music has surfaced for me recently. One is Chapel Rowan's "Good Luck, Babe." You listen to that?
No.
So on the face of it, it's a very simple 4-chord pop song, but when you actually on subsequent listens, you can see how very clever it is. So I put a whole load of music theory in here, which is just too boring to talk about. But so she does all sorts of things, like just putting in like the middle 8, for example, is actually a middle 16, and it stays on one chord for the entire 16 bars that doesn't fit in with the 4-chord structure at all.
Nice.
The tempo fluctuates. I imagine you'd probably be very sensitive to this because of your sort of EDM music production, where everything's very tight. The tempo fluctuates between about 113 BPM and 120, which means that it was either it was recorded live or it was programmed in after the fact. I haven't found hey?
It's such a hard thing to do technically.
Well, yeah. So I imagine it was probably just recorded live. But either way, the whole thing is on the face of it is a 4-chord pop song, but when you listen to it critically, it's fascinating. So Elton John is a big fan of the Chapel Rowan.
I just don't think I'm cool enough to like Chapel Rowan. She was on, what did I see her on? She was on that carpool karaoke thing recently.
She's done a Tiny Desk concert, which is also spectacular.
I just think it'd be really cool to listen to that sort of music. I'm not.
No, I don't. I think you're allowed. The other thing that it surfaced was Lola Young's "Messy," which you must have heard. That's been all over the radio.
No,
but that is the polar. That's the polar opposite, right? I mean, it's not. It's still just as clever, but it's clever in a different way. There are only 2 chords in the whole song.
Nice,
but every verse chorus cycle, it's mixed up to keep it interesting. It's and it's. Again, there are various live performances of that, and it's better live than
just to break the fourth wall here as well. How much Rob's into this stuff. In the show notes, he has put all of the different chord changes, which we perhaps won't go through. But
that's a bit too geeky. But I put that in there just for your enjoyment, because I imagine you understand a fair amount of that stuff, don't you? So you're familiar with intervals, and
I'll send that to my dad. He'll like that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, we won't go. That's worse than my my car chat. But
so
going
45. So carry on.
No, I was going to say, just going back to overall in terms of YouTube Music, I've been impressed with it, and it has thrown up a few recommendations. I've got no examples like yourself, but it has thrown up things occasionally that have been great. The only problem with it is that if you use it, because one thing that attracted me to it was the fact that obviously you then get access to YouTube Music on your Apple TV, which means if you don't have, we haven't had Sky for years, so I've kind of missed having the music channels occasionally. If you have people come around, you want some music playing in the background with the videos and stuff, we can't do that anymore. Now we can, because we have Apple Music, and it's got a load
YouTube
of
Music.
YouTube Music, and it's got a load of music videos included, which is fantastic. The problem with that is that if anyone starts, it's not their fault, but if anyone starts using that to play theme songs from films like Frozen and other stuff, it completely screws up your recommendation engine on your phone because it just takes all that stuff into account, which is a bit.
Oh no, if you go into your history and you remove stuff, that will take it out of the algorithm.
Bit of a faff on it, but yeah, I know what you mean. You can get around that. And the other thing is, and this again is my issue really, is I'm starting to use it for a little bit of sort of background music and stuff. Not when I'm not listening to anything specific, just the kind of the kind of focus music type stuff, not Brain FM type thing, but kind of more of a just background things in the studio and what have you. That does then start to infiltrate. It thinks you want to hear focus music all the time. I don't really. I just occasionally use it. But again, that's like any platform. They're all going to have that issue. But overall, I'm impressed with it. I think I've got a 3-month trial or something, so I'm not paying for it at the moment. But I will definitely switch to it, I think, full time.
Yeah. Oh, interestingly, Mr. Fox has switched to it. He pinged me the other day to say, having heard you say good things about it, I've given it a go, and he's loving it.
Nice. I think a lot of people have. Oh, I'll tell you who else has. Ben, Lover of Tech Ben, and Adam Butcher, Asbit. They were both telling me to switch to it, even though I didn't have a chance to say to them, I've switched to it, leave me alone. They kind of threw it down my throat. I needed to switch to Apple Music, to YouTube Music, because they were so impressed with it as well. So I think a lot of people are doing it. I think, a lot of people are going for it.
Yeah, I only did it because I'm a cheapskate. And I was like, well, look, I'm on the hook for a tenner a month anyway, and I'm almost always, it kind of feels necessary to pay for YouTube now because it's if you try and watch it without paying for it, the amount of ads is getting silly. Yep. So yeah, the way I see it is that I am going to pay for a music subscription of some sort. So I'm already on the hook for a tenner. I'm essentially paying $2.99 a month to remove the YouTube ads. But yeah, it's not even a case of it's good because it's exceeded my expectations. Because I wasn't expecting very much from it, really. I was like, it'll do. Yeah. But it's actually way better than that.
It is, and YouTube Premium. If you're getting it with YouTube Premium, that makes a massive difference. I've only just got YouTube Premium, which is a bit ironic given what I do for a living. But watching YouTube without ads and without with things like playing in the background play and all that sort of stuff, it transforms YouTube. I'm not just saying that because I'm a content creator. And I want people. In fact, we make less money, I think, if more people go for premium. But it's a much better experience.
Oh, do you? Have you not got an affiliate link for YouTube Premium subs? Surely you get a fairly decent kickback for that. You get Niall on that in the show note for all 2 people that will click on it.
Maybe we should do that. But yeah, it's much better, much better.
So we're 50 minutes in, Mark. We haven't actually talked about any tech.
No, we've only really got 10 minutes left because I've got to rush off at 11 o'clock. So we've got tech news next in the list here, and there are a few things that we could just end up moaning about with Apple.
Yeah, let's skip the Apple stuff because it's just boring. The what's interesting is the new Pebble watches. You see, the new Pebble watches have been unveiled. So yeah, can't
wait.
Straight out of 2012.
I never had a Pebble. I was obsessed with them, and I never ended up, for whatever reason, I never ended up buying one. But did you have one? I bet you did.
No, I didn't actually. What did I have? I had a Sony something or other, a really early Wear device. I had various Microsoft bands, but no, I skipped the Pebble thing. But I think I might give it a go this time around. 30-day battery life.
Ridiculous, crazy. That's Garmin levels, isn't it?
So are you going to talk to them, or
we'll get one anyway? I think it's just definitely worth getting one in, regardless, isn't it? Just to check out.
The other interesting thing recently, you don't sort of talk about keyboards anymore. Is that because you personally have lost interest in it, or there's not the engagement?
I just use this now.
That's awful. That's almost as bad as me Chromecasting to my name Unity Atom $2,000 amp.
To be fair, it is. Although the thing I will say in my defense and Apple's defense is that this is a really good keyboard, and it's actually quite satisfying. I think the reason I switched to this is because I enjoy the MacBook typing experience, and this is pretty much the same thing. So
in fairness, I can type faster on the MacBook Air keyboard than anything else.
Yeah, same here. Yep.
Which is weird. But anyway, on the subject of keyboards, so if you like that sort of low travel chiclet style keyboard, you might want to check out the Clevetura CLVX1, which is a keyboard and trackpad in one, right? So you type on it as normal, and then if you want to do, scrolly, 3-finger or pinchy zooms or whatever. If you're just without actually pressing the keys down, if you're just brushing your fingers over the keys, they've got some magic in there that enables the whole surface of the keyboard to behave as a trackpad. So yeah, it's the Clevertura CLV X1. If they did an ISO layout, because the trouble is it's got a rectangle, it's a US layout, it's got a rectangular enter key, which I can't go on with. If they did a proper L-shaped enter key, I would probably get involved with that, but I won't, because I can't do that. But that looks super fun, doesn't it?
It looks really good. Yeah, it looks very cool. I wonder how annoying it could be if you accidentally keep invoking the trackpad.
I think the software, they've got some smarts in there to minimize that, and it's got Mac drivers, so yeah, that looks like a fun thing.
Looks nice.
What else has happened? I'll tell you about my news. I replaced an entire wall with glass with a big bendy door.
Yes, I do. Yep.
It's been lovely, and now it's got really hot, hasn't it? And it turns out if you replace an entire wall with glass, it turns that room into an oven. Who knew?
Yeah.
So we've got. So I've had an awning installed. It's like 3 meters by 2 meters. And it has to be that long because of the way the house is facing, to stop the sun from getting into the massive bendy doors. The reason it's relevant is it's all Somfy. Are you familiar with the Somfy brand? Somfy Home Automation.
I don't know, I think, yeah.
So that has got like a wind sensor so it's all smart homeable. I haven't plumbed it in yet, but I could, via a complicated series of pulleys and levers, get it into the Apple Home app. I haven't done that yet, but it's part of a broader plan, because I've been talking about this for 3 years. I am going to convert my garage, but at the moment we've got an up and over door. I want to replace it with a roller door, and I will also get that in the Somfy system. So basically, my sort of external moving parts on my house will all be Somfy smart enabled.
Nice.
So far, so good. It looks quite good. The build a
PC.
Wow! Oh, before we get there, there's the 4K OLED ultra wide LG. Okay. So LG at CES showed off 2 displays, 2160p ultra wide displays, one of which you can change the curvature of. Did you see? I don't think you saw it in person, did you? But you must be aware of it. So they've got one which is just a regular curved display, like 1800R curvature, and another one which is adjustable. So there's no pricing available on the bonkers bendy one, but just the basic static one is $2,800. So yeah, so that is I think 45-inch 2160p OLED ultra wide, which is the only thing that I would consider replacing my current 40-inch. Is it IPS? I don't know. It might IPS. I think it's IPS, my current one. But yeah, the only way that my current display is getting replaced is with an OLED one. Not for $2,800 though, so I'm good for now.
A lot of money, though, isn't it?
And yeah, so despite my irritating experience with Windows recently, I've got a weird hankering to build a PC.
Why?
When did you last build a PC?
When did I last? That's a really good question. I last built a PC probably in about 1996, I would guess.
Crikey. That's a very long time ago. I mean, it hasn't really changed. It's still, you get a motherboard, you get a processor, you whack that in, get your thermal paste out, etc. So the Verge have got a good video you can watch if you need a refresher on that.
I've got horrible memories.
I think they've taken that down, haven't they? Do you remember that horrific build a PC video they did, where they just got everything wrong? But it's come about partly because I'm just so bored of everything else. I'm thinking,
make my own thing.
Just make a PC. But it's come about from Streacom. I've talked about Streacom before, because a while back I was toying with the idea of building a completely fanless machine in the cube that they do. They do a fully aluminium cube called the DB4. Super cool. But they've got this new open. It's not that new, actually. They've got an open case called the DA6, which basically looks like a Mac Pro but it's completely, there are no sides on it. So you've just got the handles of the Mac Pro, and you build all your computer in there, and everything's on display. But check out the analog dials. They've got a product called the VU1. It's an e-ink analog dial that you can configure to display whatever you want. You know, your fan speeds, your temps, or something else if you would like. So yeah, I want to build an open PC with 4 of those bad boys bolted on. I think it would look super sort of future retro vibe going on. I think that'd be fun.
But then you turn it on, it's got windows on it. It's like everything's ruined, isn't it?
There is that. Well, I'm partly motivated by wanting to play GTA 6 when that comes out next year.
Is that next year now? I thought it was this year.
Oh yeah, no, it'll be next year. It won't be out until next year.
I think it was 2025.
No, well, I think
why is it taking so long?
Well, it
can't be that hard, can it? Surely, slap it together, release loads of patches afterwards when none of it works. That case thing you've shown, it looks like something from a commercial kitchen. That's anything I would say. It looks like a tray station or something for when you put plates on it when they've been cleaning.
What the DA6? You're not a fan of it? It'll make more sense if you see it populated. I'll send you a picture of one that's populated. It looks very cool. And
how expensive is it?
I didn't look at the price. If you have to ask,
let's have a look. Buy. Not too bad. 117 to 131 quid.
There you go.
Not too bad, is it?
It's just about average for.
I'd love you to do it. I think you should do it live on the podcast. Build the PC while we're talking. See what happens. Cover yourself in thermal paste.
Yeah.
There's another.
So that leads us on to the silly thing. Did you see? I think you may even have covered it. The Roborock Saros Z70, the robot vacuum with an arm.
Didn't cover it, but yeah, definitely saw it.
So that is now available to pre-order.
Okay.
Which is quite cool. But it's basically a scutter from Red Dwarf, isn't it?
It is, yeah. In fact, when I think we went to their booth at CES, and I sort of jokingly said to them, "Will it pick up my child and put him out of the way if he's just sitting there and refusing to move out of the way of the Hoover?" And she was like, "I don't think it does." No, I was like, "I'm only joking. I don't expect it to pick up children." But yeah, it has this arm.
It will pick up your teenage son's special sock.
We're back in Techspert territory, aren't we? People who get that reference, that's a hell of a way to end this podcast. We need to get Chris on. I will at some point. I'll talk to him. Our goal for this year should be to get Mr. Chris Barraclough, Techspert, onto these 8 or 16 podcast.
Absolutely.
Just to see what happens. He's lovely. He's a lovely bloke. One of the nicest guys in this industry, actually. And although he's quite similar to what is his online personality, he's a bit softer and just a lovely bloke. One of the nicest people I've met in this game. Anyway, enough about Techspert. Enough about what on earth we've been talking about today. We've got to shoot. Thanks for tuning in, guys. This time seems to work. I think this seems to work quite nicely for people. So appreciate you getting involved, guys. And if you are watching this on YouTube, give it a subscribe as always. We'll be back in a couple of weeks, I think, Rob. I think it's okay in a couple of weeks. I've got a trip next week, but I think after that we're good. So yeah, let's. I'll let you get off and start building your PC.
Alrighty.
Cheers, guys. End the stream. Here we go. And goodbye.